You can access the entire episode now on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, Rokfin, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Conspiracy culture has been normalized to a disturbing extent, and it seems like it is being thrown out there so that they can further desensitize humanity to some of the truths that are coming out and muddy the waters and get people to think that, oh, they're putting it on this TV show or movie and they're talking about all these crazy conspiracies that's been brought up in the past few years. It must mean that it's fake, because everything we see on TV when it comes to Hollywood is just something for entertainment purposes. It's not real, and that's always been the perception that has been put forward, when in reality they are giving us predictive programming and showing us the truth about everything in such fantastical ways that people just dismiss it. And it's always been done that way, but recently it's become very interesting to me to see how normalized all the conspiracies that we've been looking into, you and me, over the past decade, some people a lot longer, but most of society has just recently been introduced into some of these concepts. And it's taking off like a rocket. And I think, just like I said, it's to desensitize and confuse the people so they don't know what's real anymore.
So I would have to agree with you on that statement, Chris. So I actually got a little history lesson from our good friend Shane on the show I did with him. So our movement has theoretically, the awakened movement has theoretically been infiltrated for quite some time. Even before the age of the internet, from what I'm seeing. So, to me, I look at this and I use it with discernment, because the one thing that I've come to grips with, after 16 years of looking at this all unfold, is that they want an extremely slow decommissioning process. They want it done at their own pace. For whatever reason. I mean, there's a couple of different rumors out there. Actually, there's one rumor that's been circulating now that if we all wake up too quickly, it will cause chaos and they'll have to reset the planet. Who's resetting the planet? That's up for discussion. I also feel too that it's to whoever's hands or whatever's hands this whole scenario is in. They have the whole collective of humanity in mind, not just people like you and I. So that is another theory and a reason to why this decommissioning process is happening so slow. Now, the fact that, our community has been normalized and it's been propped in the mainstream. I mean, we look at what's happening with Alex Jones. I mean, we're looking on how, David Icke is kind of even inching his way into the mainstream too right now as we're talking about this. I say we use discernment when it comes to this, and the reason why is there's kind of a motto that I have, and it's kind of synced up until now. So if you're looking at anybody in our community that has a platform or a platform fan base or a following of 1 million plus followers, they either fit into one of these 4 categories: limited hangouts, sensationalists, divide and conquer, and fearmongers. There's no in between on any of this. So in my opinion, in order to get to that level, you have to be in on it somewhat. And I know there might be a few people who disagree with me when I say that. I'm not saying everybody, but a vast majority of the people that we're looking at. And I mean, there's even rumors that Alex Jones gets the information from them about a month before they actually release it, so they can gauge the reaction of the public and see how they react to this new information. I think it's a beautiful thing. I'll digress and say I think it's a beautiful thing. However, we should still maintain discernment with what our input is on what we're taking in, because there is going to be a lot more muddying of the waters and there's going to be a lot more disinformation now.
I always wonder whether some of these personalities realize that they're being propped up or not. Is it algorithm based? Are they actually being approached by some entity or intelligence agency and offering them some sort of monetary reward or notoriety for what they're doing? Possibly, and I've heard this does happen. In fact, I've had a couple of guests recently that were discussing how there is a campaign right now to infiltrate content creators and prop them up if they agree to expose certain information. So yeah, we're in fascinating and dangerous and incredible times, and it's a great time to be alive, man. I came here to partay during this times, all right? So let's get into some of your experiences lately, man. I've heard you've had some pretty incredible things happening.
So one thing, man, I've been really experimenting with, we're going to kind of go into the consciousness exploration aspect of this. So even though I'm still using, shamanic plants and having shamanic experiences, I've really been kind of chasing after what I would call these natural states of altered consciousness. And I've been kind of really diving in and digging into this now for the past few months. And I have to say, there's really something to this, Chris. I believe that I've somehow, in some ways, uncovered what I would call a organic technology for the human body. And the reason why I say this is you and I have talked about this before. So let's take a look at a synthetic simulation. You have algorithms in the synthetic simulation that cater to the desires, the wants, the needs of the person that is participating in this synthetic simulation. Well, if we're truly in something that we call an organic simulation, we would have something very similar, a what I would call an energetic algorithm, or almost an intent algorithm, that when used in the right way and in the right succession of either movements, actions, or intentions, will deliver what I call kind of the wanted result from what you're looking for. So, and why I say I feel like I've touched into this organic technology for the human body is, number one, I've had more natural DMT releases in the past few months than I have ever in my entire life, which is kind of nice. And I'm going to go on a limb and say there's a possible way this is the key to, I guess you could say, overall health and changing our body to experience. Now, we look at a lot of the Tibetan monks of old, and we look at a lot of the human beings of old. They were capable of very interesting things, the cities. And, and the interesting thing about the cities, Chris, is that these are not supernatural powers at all. They're natural powers. They're natural abilities that humans have lost touch with. We've just forgotten about them. We've forgotten how to use them. And I feel like at this point, I'm kind of on the path to this. So the one thing I do want to kind of chat about is that, did you know, Chris, that us humans, we have 10 bodies technically? So, it's very interesting to think about, because a lot of people are very familiar with, the physical body, the astral body, the soul body. We're very familiar with those, but we actually have a couple more. So we have, number one being the soul body. Number two being the negative mind, which we do need for certain things. I think one thing that's pretty interesting in our community is, we like to stray away towards negativity, but, acknowledging that polarity aspect of us that we do in some ways need this. We have the positive mind, we have the neutral mind, we have the physical body, so that's 5, and then we have the arc body, the auric body, the pranic body, the subtle body, and the radiant body. So the human being, as we've seen, is most certainly a multi-dimensional entity. We're not just strictly bound to this realm. We have our consciousness bleeding into other different realms, and I'm starting to see, Chris, that if you get all of these bodies balanced together and you get them all in tune with one another, you're looking at what I would call potential human totality, meaning that you will reach that ascended state. You will be able to step forth into higher realms of consciousness as you are now.
Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing to achieve these states.
So there's 3 concepts to these states. So and this is actually kind of really goes down to a lot of ancient Vedic science. Okay, so we know about the Vedas and stuff like that from ancient India, the Puranas. They're looked at as a mythology